What is up, everybody? Happy Monday. I hope you guys had fun watching that amazingly wonderful, just very exciting game from start to finish, right? It was a little bit of a letdown, I can't lie, after what we had on Sunday, but it was still good to watch football. Any day with football is a good day, right? So welcome in, everybody. My name is Sean, aka Sklem. I am here with you guys today on the Fantasy Chopping Block. We are a guillotine episode podcast, basically centered around guillotine leagues and the couple leagues that we like to cover and talk about in our Ballsville group. I'm joined today by a couple good buddies of ours, a good friend of ours from up north, Zubakis. How you doing today, buddy?
Good. Glad to be here.
Awesome, possum. Good to see you too, man. And then our other good buddy, JoJo, my good friend that I've actually got a nice selfie outside Allegiant Stadium with, which I like talking about every time he's on. How you doing, JoJo?
Pretty good. Shout out to my son, fourth birthday today.
So, happy birthday. We gotta love that, dude. Super cool, man. How you guys doing? How was your weekends? Everything on the fantasy realm work out for you, or did you guys have as bad of a week as I did?
I had some ups and downs. My home league, I lost, so now I'm down. Now I'm 5-3. I started the season at 6-0, 5-0, and then it's just been downhill from there. So injuries, man, injuries.
How about you, JoJo? Did you fare any better than us?
I would say the injuries are the great equalizer, right? So yeah, I mean, I definitely started strong. I had a lot of Rashee Rice, and I've been kind of, it's been rough. I've been having to try to mitigate some of those that production, or mitigate the losses and try to figure out some production there. But kind of like middling now.
Yeah, me too. Same boat, man. And like I had my only undefeated team across the board, and all my leagues finally went down this week. So I kind of, that one hurts always. When you finally see that last goose egg in your loss column disappear, it's always a little bit of a stinger. It's like you're okay. You're sitting pretty. I'm actually a few games up to even over second, so it's not like it really hurts a lot. And as far as the standings are concerned, but man, that goose egg not being on that loss column anymore is just.
Hey, speaking of that, I took down Scott this weekend in one of the podcast leagues.
Seriously, I had no idea. That had nothing to do with why I talked about a goose egg in the loss column at all. I swear to God, it was not on purpose.
Yeah, he was 7-0. I took him down big time. I think I put up almost 100 points more than him.
Yeah, I do believe that was mentioned a little bit yesterday while we were live on air, because Scott pretty much knew that it was over long before the end of any of those games.
Oh man, I looked at the score on it because I've been watching it all week. I was like, oh, there's going to be a big one, and Scott's 7-0. This is like he might end it, man. Yeah, I went out of the weekend at over 200 points. I was like, oh, never mind, I'm good.
Right. We're going to find out here soon, but over the course of the next few episodes, but we'll see how many of those 7-0 teams. There was only a few of them across the Ballsville nation that were left. Two. So there could potentially be none after this week, the way these games played out. So it's definitely going to be interesting to hear the breakdowns this week. But
speaking of a podcast league, and because he's a co-host of this pod, usually on Monday nights, I had to give C-Bomb a little come from behind victory on Monday night. So shout out to C-Bomb. I know it was a little negative there, but hey, you know what? It was a good sweat, C-Bomb. Hope you're enjoying the vacation.
Awesome. That's awesome. If he's listening to this, that's the kind of comment that'll make him type in the little box down here.
Scorpion Podcast 8 League. It's just because it's a pod league too. I figure it's also relevant to talk about here too.
Gotta love that, man. Like, yeah, it was definitely one of those days, man. So those types of victories and losses came, I think, across the board to all of us in one way or the other. There's a lot of stuff that came down to the final, ridiculous interception from Daniel Jones there. So, those types of situations, you're either happy or you're in my boat with Zoobs, and we're both just floating down the river without paddles and hoping that there's not a waterfall coming.
Well, I think a lot of people were probably banking on like Pickens or neighbors to put up big games tonight, and it just
he dropped an easy one on like third down, like two drive, maybe like drive before they got that fumble from.
Had he been more aware of his position,
he probably could have walked in. There was nobody there. I mean, it was around
nobody.
maybe he gets caught, but like he had an underneath, just like he could have done some things with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, and you saw that other touchdown catch that he barely missed. You know,
Yeah,
like he could have brought his foot down if he'd have realized he was so close to the side. I don't think he understood because he tucked that other foot under him and stuck it a lot farther back out of bounds. He could have easily just dropped his heel to the ground and been in bounds by no problem, like by a good while. So
he looked a little out of sorts today. You know, he just didn't look like he had the juice. He wasn't grooving like he had the sauce early in the year.
I'm wondering if he's getting a little discouraged too, because he hasn't.
Yeah,
he
just
was
disappointed.
LSU, maybe like they're a winning culture up there. So this is kind of maybe the first time in his NFL life that he's really on this like, you know, bad team that's constantly losing games. It's hard for some people, you know. It takes a little bit of getting used to. That's for sure.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
You know, some of us had to deal with it in our very first couple seasons playing football. You know, then it's no big deal if you've done it for, you know, a few days. But usually these uber talented guys like that are on kick butt teams for most of their life.
Yep.
So, yeah. So that being said, I want to go ahead and touch base because we did have a special event this weekend that I thought went pretty well. You know, I thought we had a great time. I don't know, JoJo, if you got to listen. I know Zoobs was busy. We talked about it a little bit pregame here, but yeah, if you got to listen in and not at all, JoJo, we had our Ballsathon this weekend, our first ever. And, you know, I thought considering that, you know, we put this thing together in the aftermath of, you know, an event that wasn't scheduled. So there wasn't an opportunity for a lot of us to, you know, have dedicated time and a lot of, you know, prep available and time to get things, you know, donated and available to do any kind of raffle and all these things we really wanted to try to do to generate as much as we could. And the, you know, the outcome that we got to, though, even though I feel like we didn't get to where we wanted to, I thought we did really well. I really did. I thought it went off, you know, pretty good. I thought the show was entertaining. I thought when Jim called was like one of the most, you know, I would say it's probably the best content Ballsville's ever put out at this point. You know, just hearing his story and what he's going through out there, and you know, like the emotion in his voice, the heartfelt, you know, thanks in his voice, the genuine, you know, type of just feeling that you got from hearing him and what he's dealing with right now, and how thankful he is for any of the help he is getting, and even being willing to offer up help for others, and while he's still in the process of rebuilding his own home, even like those types of things, I thought really resonated even more deeply than anything that Mir Scott could have said, or any Hail Mary touchdown passes that happened, or anything like that. So, you know, that in that aspect, I think that it was pretty awesome. You know, I don't. What do you guys think? How do you guys feel like it went? You know, I know you didn't. Like I said, Zoobs, you're gonna give me an update when you get a chance to go back and listen. But JoJo, what you got to listen to? I mean, how did you feel it went? How did you think the fundraiser went so far? I mean, I think we're moving right along pretty well.
Yeah, I was actually. I'm sorry, I haven't been able to listen to it just yet. I was, you know, like I said, I had my son's birthday party over the weekend, and then we also did the Zoom
like I
yesterday.
said, same thing we just talked about. We're in the aftermath of a hurricane here. This is not like everybody had the opportunity to plan ahead of time for something like this, like we would have liked to. You know. So life is still there, you know, unfortunately, even for the individuals dealing with it, you know, it's, I mean, things that they have to move forward with that are, you know, things that they can't move forward without, you know?
Yeah. I can't even imagine, you know, what they're going through. I know that my father-in-law was out in Florida, and luckily everything was still intact, you know, minor damages, things of that nature, but obviously that's not the case for everyone else, or a lot of people in Florida. So, you know, my heart goes out to them, especially, you know, like our community here at Ballsville, Jimbo. So, you know, from what I've heard, you know, and how you were just describing it, you know, to him to be that positive, at least at this juncture, but just giving us the reality of what he's been through. Just can't even imagine, man. But just, I'm glad he found a community like Ballsville, man. Like this is a bunch of like-minded individuals that we love fake football, but life obviously matters more, you know, and I'm glad that I'm a part of a community that also puts out some kind of like philanthropy like this, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Just seeing how everybody was coming together all this week to make it all work, you know, the things that were donated and all the behind the scenes stuff. Yeah, it was really amazing to just watch it all coalesce this week, you know. yeah, I mean, you guys did it in under a week, so that's amazing to me. So it's amazing the outpouring that we got, the support that was going on, and yeah, everybody just pitching in for it. So
yeah, I mean, shout out to Alex and Scott too, man, because they put in a lot of time and effort. You know, Alex, even though he wasn't on air with me all day yesterday like Scott was, you know, he put in just as much, if not more, time on the back end, you know, in the prep aspect and helping set up the raffle and getting, you know, prizes donated and updated onto the website so everybody could see what was being bid on and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, those two guys really, I mean, they dedicated just as much, if not more time than anybody else on this project, including myself. So, you know, they definitely deserve a kudos on their end also for what they did.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and, you know, speaking of the fundraiser, so you guys know we keep talking about this fundraiser. Why don't we go ahead and pull up the fundraiser and see where we're at so far, huh, guys? Because this is going to go on through Tuesday here before the raffle. So you guys still have the opportunity to get in, which we will talk about here in just a second. But let's let's go see where we're at here. You know, if I had my producer with me, she'd throw a drum roll up for me. But since I don't have Sarah on Mondays, I don't have the opportunity to do that for you guys. I'm sorry, but I am going to pop it up on screen and just put it in your head, little drum roll. Boo, 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 boo. There we go. Da, 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 da. We're looking at $906 so far. We are so close to that next tier, that $1,000 mark. That is so awesome. You guys give yourselves a round of applause to everybody who has donated so far. Mr. Michael Wayne Mendez, the most recent man right here, jumping in on that $40. Michael, if that is for the helmet, we will make sure you will get in on that drawing because that is definitely going to be an awesome prize right there for a $40 piece. I think a autographed Garrett Wilson Ohio State mini helmet is a super, super good deal for anybody. So I'm so glad that you did that. We really appreciate it. I could speak for Jimbo and his wife. I'm sure that they appreciate it as well. You know, and this is definitely helping us get to our goal. And thank you so much, my friend. $906 is just this shy of what we want to do before Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. If you can help out at all, please do what you can because we have another, I'd say, close to 16 hours or so before Tuesday's episode. And if we can be at that $1,000 mark by Tuesday's episode, that would just be like God sent. It would be so awesome to be able to open Tuesday's episode and talk about this with a 4-digit. I say that again, a 4-digit raised amount of money for this man and what he's going through right now. That would really, really, really turn a long day and a long, hard day of work for what he's going to be doing all day tomorrow. I'm sure to see that 4 digits on there is going to mean a lot for him. So, you know, that could give him what he needs to wake up tomorrow and start again. So please, guys, can continue to donate if you can. You know, don't feel obligated, but please do if you can because it's definitely going to a good cause 100% towards this man and his, you know, needs right now. So thank you so much, guys, for getting us there. And let's keep going on that. Speaking of that, keep going. We have the raffles. I want to show you guys real quick as well what we're raffling off. Jojo, did you get a chance to see the raffle items yet?
Yeah, I did, for sure.
Oh, yeah. What about you, Zeus? You seen them yet?
Oh, yeah, I saw a few.
Awesome. Cool. This is going to be one of those things, guys. I think that people, as now that they're up on the screen, people are going to get more and more visibility on them and we'll get more donations because, you know, everything that's on here, we price to try to make it where it's good for you to win it because you're going to get some good value out of it. You know, this is a valuable piece compared to the price that you're paying for it. And it's also helping out our friend as much as we can too. So
I see the helmet right behind you.
Yes, sir. I actually do have it
right
there. So
there you do a little Vanna White.
Don't believe it. It's literally been sitting here with me and it will stay here until it gets put into a box and taken down to the UPS store to whoever wins it. So that is going to be here. And then also next to me, I do have the 6-pack of cards. It looks like our boy Zubes is back here. Let me let him back in on the action. How you doing, my friend? These are the packs of cards that we will be doing the opening of. So these cards are going away too. And again, this deck does have the opportunity to pull a CJ Stroud rookie card that currently I was told at the store is we're going for somewhere between $2 and $3 grand. So if that happens tomorrow, that's going to be a really fun one to open and see live. And then if you ended up being the lucky winner of that pack, you're going to be even happier. So I'm super excited to do that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, so, along with that, we have a few other items, and we'll go through here and talk about that in a second because I want to go ahead and show you guys where you're going to get this information.
Someone's mic echoing.
It does sound like there's a little bit of an echo. I'm not sure. It doesn't sound like it's horribly bad on my end, but if you're dealing with that, it looks like maybe it's taken care of. I cannot 100% tell, but I'll continue on through here, and you guys can work on those technological difficulties.
Okay.
So this is our homepage here, guys. You go to the ballsvillegame.com, and if you click on I'm going to pull that. I'm going to show you guys exactly where it's at because it sits literally right here. So as soon as you get to the homepage, it's going to be right there for you guys to click on. It'll take you right to our community page. It has all the information about our items that we're doing this raffle for, okay? If you continue to scroll on down, there's a whole breakdown on how it works. The basic gist of this here is that every item has a set price. If you donate that price, you will be put into that raffle. So, that's a pretty basic breakdown of it, but there's a lot more of the fine print. If you read through this right here, kind of tells you, exactly how you need to do that, which I'm going to kind of cover a bit here for you guys as well, just so you guys have a basic idea. Along with that, we also have the link for our other aspects of this, which is the live show and some other things that are also available in that live show. I'm going to tell you guys in a minute. There's some really awesome parts to go check out. This is the helmet that we guys just saw live. So what you would do if you want to get in on this Garrett Wilson helmet raffle, you go to donate $40. You let us know in Discord. You go to our Discord channel and you let us know, or you can do it attached to a note on your donation if that allows you on GoFundMe. If you can't do that, then go ahead and do it in our Discord. We'll make sure that you're included in that raffle. So that's how you get into each raffle. And every item here is listed. They have a picture. We have the amount that you need to donate in order to get in on that raffle. And then some of the items are listed along for individual as well as the pack, right? So you have a lot of options here. There's some really good cards in here, guys. Joe Burrow rookie card, Chase Young rookie, autograph numbered with a game-worn piece of, looks like a jersey potentially. They got Anthony Richardson rookie card. They got autographed Justin Fields rookie card, all the authenticated signatures. So these are some good cards, guys. And yeah, you're not talking a ton of money. You're $10, $15, $20. All these cards are worth double that at minimum. So you guys would get a screaming deal if you get these cards. So, those are going to be a lot of fun. This is a very, very awesome item. I'm going to talk about this one a little bit more in depth because this one literally was donated by our member, Jimbo's Bimbos, who is currently the one dealing with the hurricane in Florida. This is an item when he evacuated, he had enough room in his truck. This is an item that he made sure was with him. This is an item that he talks about. And when you go back and listen, to his testament that he left with us yesterday while we were talking with him, which was riveting to say the least, he'll tell you in that this was actually an item that he saw signed by all three of the Petties right in front of him in their motorhome. So this is a really, really personal item to him, and it's a very, very valuable item. If you know anything about NASCAR, the Petty family is royalty. So, definitely, if you're interested in this item, it is worth the money to put the bid in on it. And this item will be raffled off as well. And again, donated directly from the individual who's going to receive these funds to help rebuild his home. I can't say that enough. Rebuild his home. So thank you guys again. That would be a huge donation because this one is very, very, very special. So you guys can go check this out on our website, theballsvillegame.com, and get in on that. Our GoFundMe is also linked on here for you guys to go to as well. So you can go right there so you can start your donations. So thank you guys again, everybody who's donated and anybody who's going to be donating. It's all 100% going to him. So that being said,
that's awesome.
It's one of those things, if we have the opportunity to help you try to, right? Any way you can. You know, I'm all the way over here in Las Vegas. I know, Jojo, you're not anywhere near the Florida area. Zoobs, I know you're even farther. So, you know, there's not a lot we could do boots on the ground wise, you know, because we just don't have that, you know, availability geography wise. So, you know, we're at this point right now, we're basically doing everything we can, and this is the best opportunity we have to help.
Well said.
All right. So let's get into some of our guillotine scenarios. So we have a very special show with you guys today, and I usually don't go ahead and, you know, spill the beans early about the outcome of these leagues because, you know, I like to do the surprise kind of like, oh, who was it this week? You know, because it, you know, it's fun. You know, you like doing that. But because of the special situation that we're in today, I felt like it would be better to just go ahead and talk about 2 of the 3 league eliminations that we have already had, because you are staring at them. Myself and Zubikis are both members of the Elimination Club this week. So 2 out of 3 are staring you in the face right now.
I was just last week, so I'm not that far.
Hiding tears, holding back sniffles, and you know, doing everything we can to save face, because right now we are walking away like, you know, the 0-16 Detroit Lions. You know, sorry, Zoobs, I don't mean to kick you while you're down, but
it's all right. That's all right.
That's what it feels like right now when we're eliminated, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep. That gut feeling where you're just like, what could I have done different? Nothing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, even though there was a few different things I could have done differently that would have for sure played out, but I don't think would have been things anybody would have realistically done unless they were, you know, on some sort of illegal substance at the time. Oh man. So we'll get into the specifics of which leagues those are here when the time comes. I just wanted to make sure we kind of started out with that little caveat for you guys, so you know pretty much who you're talking to when the time comes is going to be a little difficult for us. And, you know, I might need to pull a little bit of tissue or something over here just to make it through that league for me, because that one's
dab the eyes a little, dab the eyes, you know.
That one's gonna hurt a lot. And I'm telling you, it's not me trying to go for an Oscar moment or anything. All right, this is gonna be real tears if they come. They're gonna be legit. So, but before we jump into those leagues, I'm super excited to talk about this right now, guys. The triathlon is jumping into the guillotine mix. It got tired of sitting on the sidelines over there, all these guillotine leagues, having fun, watching 18 heads in a duffel bag, playing catch with Sleepy Hollow over there, pointing and laughing because they can't play. They are tired of that. They are sticking their hat in the ring. They are getting in the game. They are not letting this go by any longer without their presence. Yeah, I am so damn excited about this, guys. Where are you at, Joe?
I think I'm getting axed to triathlon.
Oh man, did we have a tripled axe? A triple?
So. I got outscored. We were all 311, dude. It's bad.
Wow. Oh my! Can you believe this, ladies and gentlemen? Can you believe this? Not 1, not 2, but 3 hosts of a 3-host podcast are being eliminated in a guillotine pod. That is almost unheard of.
Back-to-back for me too, because I lost in Braveheart last week.
Hey, we're a wheel
of loss that just keeps on rolling week to week, you know. I guess my only remaining team is next, right? Well, actually, no, I have a team now I'm losing one, but I'm adding one in the triathlon league because I do think I survived. So there was about 5 of us in this league, which we're going to talk about in a second, that were on the chopping block going into this week. So it was definitely a real, like, you know, clincher. Let's put it that way.
You'd be surprised at how many weeks I've lost from going against people who either didn't set their lineup or played an out guy or someone who got hurt so early in the game, and I still lost. It's amazing. It's just amazing. It's an amazing season so far.
I know, right? It's been like that. This has been one of the most, like, it's just like, I don't know how to say it other than maybe like snake bit seasons I've seen in a long time, where it's just like all the kooky stuff that is, you know what I mean? So it just seems weird like that this year. And I don't think we're done. I think there's more coming.
No. The more you know, the less you know. Or the more you think you know, I'm sorry. The more you think you know, the less you know.
So let me, before we talk about the league and who was eliminated, or before we talk about who's eliminated in the league, let's talk about the league. Because I want to break down exactly what this league is, because it's different than the standard guillotine leagues we've been talking about. This is our brainchild, our Ballsville baby. You know, I'd say toddler at this point, right? Maybe we're at toddler status, you know, because we definitely made it through some terrible twos over the last few weeks, our teams included, right, JoJo? So, you know, that's definitely what it felt like in the first 8 weeks. But I feel like now I'm hoping that we're getting into that toddler stage where maybe we start teaching them T-ball. So, but that is the triathlon game. It is our baby, our brainchild that is going to be continuing to grow right beneath our eyes. Or, you know, it's just so cool. But what it is it's a 3-tier game. It's one league, 3 types of fantasy in one league. All right. You start with redraft for the first 7 weeks of the season. At the end of the 7 weeks of the season, going into week 8, like we are now, is you drop the bottom 2 teams out of the cycle. The players off those 2 teams jump into the player pool, and it now enters guillotine phase. So you are now playing a guillotine league for the next week 8 through week 14. After week 14, it's going to jump to a best ball playoff. So that's where you get your 3 tiers set up. Basically, look at it like a marathon. That's your 3 legs. So it's really exciting, because you really have to change up how you approach your redraft spending, as far as your trying to use your fob up, because you're going to need it for guillotine times, but you still have to make it to guillotine times. And then you got to deal with best ball, so you want to have the right roster to play that when the playoffs come, because that's where crunch time really matters and the money starts making. So it's one of those things that if it works out the way that we thought it would, you know, and when I say we, I'm talking about myself and Alex and Scott, you know, picture us like 3 men and a baby, you know, that this is our baby. And we're the 3 guys just been basically like raising this thing. So this is pretty much, our brainchild that we see and the growth that we're seeing. And we're hoping it plays out the way it will. So far, so good, right? I think it's been a lot of fun up to this point. And we've got a lot of good feedback. And I think we're going to be able to really make some adjustments for 2025 that's going to blow this thing up. You know, it's going to go from adolescent to full-on teenager, driving down the street like the Mayhem Man does, and, you know, going everywhere and anywhere. So that's what we're hoping anyway.
I was looking forward to it, man. But
you know, and are both of you guys are in on this, right?
Yep.
At least were.
I was looking forward to it.
And I'm actually doing pretty good in it. I'm sitting at 11-3. I just lost, but I think I made the league median. So I think I'm going to go to 12-4. So I'm in the top 3 or 4, I think.
Awesome. Well, let's find out, shall we? Because we're going to pull this one up on the screen here, guys, and let's go ahead and go through this. So we're going to start with Triathlon League for today, guys, and then we're going to roll on through the others. This is our standings as of right now. This is, like we said, this has been redraft, right? So up to this point, the standings have definitely been important. But now standings aren't going to mean crap. We're rolling into guillotine. As long as you're staying up at the top and points for the next 7 weeks, you're not going to get eliminated. So, you know, these standings were definitely helpful to move up to this point, but they haven't been there yet. We're going to find a way to incorporate some more fun in that part of it too when we move into 2025. That's one of our little tweaks that we want to find for next year. But that more on that story later. So as of right now, though, these are the teams that are for sure in the next round, right? Because we're eliminate the bottom 2. There are 20 teams in the bracket. So right now you got your top 18 that are surviving. And whose name is that's sitting right there above the 19th spot?
It's not there for long, man. It's not there for long.
JoJo. We do not have a try elimination, ladies and gentlemen.
It hasn't synced up yet.
JoJo is good to go. He has made it by the skin of his teeth.
It's not. It's not. I'm not done yet. I'm out. Look at the scores.
Yeah, because that's only 3 and 11, which should be 7 weeks. So it hasn't
Oh
updated for
my
this week.
gosh. Did
Look
it
at the
not
scores.
update
That
on
one
the
scored 73
screen?
points this week. The other two teams below me also lost, but they scored over 100. And I was only ahead of them by like 10 or 20 points.
JoJo. Oh my god, you're
73.
so right. I think you're so right, JoJo.
Yeah, I'm number 18 or number 20. I'm number 20
Oh
now.
my god, JoJo, no.
Yeah, I'm number 20.
Not my JoJo.
Yeah, JM Hubs and D-Pain are the two below me, but they both went over 100. They got me by 30 or 40 points. Yeah,
Wow.
Damn, dude. Oh, poor JoJo. All right. Well, I'm surprised it didn't update because it seems like it usually updates by now from
By
the end
10
of
o'clock, I
the
think.
game.
10 o'clock.
What's that?
10 o'clock usually on the West Coast. I think they start adjusting.
Oh, okay. That makes sense then, Rhett. We haven't gotten that far into it yet. Well, so basically that's where we're at, guys. We'll talk about where we were because we have 5 teams that were basically all at the same exact record. So, JoJo said he lost his 2, but unfortunately for him, not enough teams also lost 2 to where it kept him out of the bottom 2. So we'll find out who the other one was. Unless you know off the top of your head, JoJo, who the other eliminator was in this league, other than yourself. Was it JM?
It might be D-Pain because Westlick's won. He goes to 4. D-Pain only had 30 extra points. Keep going up. Did
I think D-Pain
did Thunder Pussy win, or did you obviously won? So you're good. You're safe. Look
I'm
at
good.
Thunder.
I think
Did
it was
Thunder
between D-Pain and I think D-Pain lost to JM Hubs, so JM Hubs is safe. And then you Thunder is the other one.
Where's Thunder?
That's who we're looking for right here. There it is.
He won, so it's probably me and
he only got 104 points.
Yeah, but he won though, so it's me and D-Pain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
Man, 2 of our regulars too. 2 of our managers even knocked out of our inaugural triathlon league right at the gate. First 2 squads. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, that means those 2 teams are gone. And moving forward now, those 2 teams, their entire rosters are going to be dropped and put into the pool, and we're all going to bid on them next Tuesday. We're going to find out here in the next day.
No, JM Hubs. I'm sorry, JM Hubs. He's
JM Hubs
points. I'm sorry, I didn't realize how many points he scored.
I thought he scored enough though. There's only an 11. There was an 11-point difference between him and D-Pain, correct?
7-point difference. 7-point difference.
Yeah, and he scored 111. D-Pain only scored 103. So he lost by like 1 point.
He got 8 points more than him, right? Isn't he got by 1 point?
JM Hubs got 111. D-Pain got 103.
Oh, so yeah, he lost by 1 point.
He lost by like 1 point. Yeah,
he lost by 1 point. So D-Pain did lose. I'm sorry, but
no, it's okay. I'm glad you double checked me though, because if my math was wrong, I didn't want to.
It was close. It was very close. Yeah, you're right.
So basically, that means that we're going to start fresh with Guillotine. So there's nothing to go over as far as FOB bidding from last week in these leagues or anything, because there wasn't any massive amount of players available or anything. But there's going to be a lot next week because there's 2 full squads coming at us. So this is going to be a whole different animal here, and this is going to be fun to watch the difference between how this plays out and how the Guillotine leagues that are kind of hitting a new phase at this point in the season and the difference between the 2. So that's good. It's going to be interesting. But it looks like D-Pain's giving us a couple of good players, guys. Like, what do you think about that? Like, do you think that it's going to be a lot different because of 2 rosters completely, or do you think it's going to be,
I think it's going to be a feeding frenzy. I think people are going to go crazy because you're talking 2 rosters full of people, and even if they're not all studs, I mean, between the injuries this year and people just not living up to potential. Yeah, it's going to be, compared to other guillotines, I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see it all kind of play out. And then I forgot, Sean, is it we keep our FOB from the redraft, right? And so
yes,
it doesn't reset. So if you used a bunch of FOB during the redraft portion, then you don't have a lot of that fob now going forward into the guillotine, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And see, that's such an interesting wrinkle, to turn it into a guillotine where you may have already spent a bunch of fob picking up players because of injuries or whatever, you know. Yeah,
Mhm. And that's the game. That's the plan, really, was like to kind of try to make you have to change your approach to each type of game because it's not only that game.
right. Yeah,
You
because
know,
the choices you make in the previous game might affect you moving forward into the second or third
That's
game even. So,
it's not even a might, it's a definitely. It's
oh
like it
yeah, for
will.
sure.
So like you need to adjust your thought process because it's different as opposed to,
Yep,
otherwise you're gonna end up sinking instead of swimming if you don't. Especially
yep,
when you get into the from guillotine to best ball. Because if you don't have the right setup on a best ball roster and you get hit with an injury early on in the first round or second round of that guillotine phase or best ball phase, then you're going to be in bad shape. Even if your roster
yep,
looks great, otherwise, you could be SOL if you didn't have a backup quarterback that is like a solid setup and you didn't prepare for that, or whatever hypothetically. So I definitely am excited to see how that part of it kind of plays out and where those little wrinkles that some I can feel like I can foresee now and some that I think I'm not even going to understand are going to be there until they hit me like a ton of bricks. So it's going to be fun to see how it plays.
Definitely.
yeah, yeah. I had to go real quick check what my fob was in that, and I'm still sitting pretty at 100. So I'm like, whoo, that feels good going into the guillotine portion.
Yeah. Luckily for me, I have a very big tendency to just leave a lot of fob forever and barely spend, if any, a lot of times because I don't really get on it early enough to chase the big boys. And I try not to put my roster in a spot where I need to anyway. So
You have about half left, right? You have 48.
yeah, I might have dropped a little bit on somebody that I should like overbid on somebody I shouldn't have at one point in this
He
league.
still has 30 left.
I think I needed to make moves because I was so close to dying. I was like, I was on the verge of death. I literally survived just because I won 2 weeks in a row. I was 1-11 or something until
you were dead last,
week.
I think, at one point. And
most of the
I hate desktop version because this whole time I was reading off points against. I actually survived. I actually survived.
Are you serious? I'm glad that we were looking at your team.
I'm literally looking at PA. I always look at PA because it's like the one on desktop. It is the one right in the middle. It like your eyes go to it. Whereas like on the app, it's so much easier to read points for and points against. Like it's so
it's D-Pain and JM Hubs, then, isn't it?
It's still D-Pain JM Hubs. Yeah, even if he scored 111 plus 473, it gives him 580. I got 73 points, but 545 gets me to 618. I'm safe. I'm safe.
Oh, that's amazing. That's crazy.
Yeah, I was just looking at 677 and 666 and 582, but I'm like, those are points against again. I'm like, I keep looking at the wrong one every time I'm on desktop, and I hate that.
It's all good,
I hate that.
I get it though, man. Desktop definitely tricks me out too. I hate that their desktop and their app are so much different, and you can do only certain things on different versions. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you can't even like all the survivor pools. You can't even view and select your team on desktop, like the team that you want to play for survivor.
You can't even on the best ball leagues. I don't think either.
I don't get it.
No, you can't. You can't. It's really weird. It's bizarre.
Sleeper, if you're listening to this pod, please.
I've said it a few times that I think the website was a secondary, like almost necessary evil to them, and the app is their baby, and the website is their redheaded stepchild. But I mean, that's just my thought. I mean, you never know, right? But so basically, on D-Pain's team, since we are now 100% that D-Pain is eliminated, we got a few good players coming off the board. I'll just highlight a couple of the good ones real quick. We got Jonathan Taylor, Malik Neighbors, who, I mean, how good is he now right now, the way they're playing? Who knows? Dalton Kincaid, I think that he's going to come up. Jacoby Myers looks like he's getting his share now. So, I mean, there's a pretty solid team. Tua coming back. Anybody else worth mentioning? Not really. So, you guys got any thoughts on these players coming here from this squad?
Jonathan Taylor, I think, is going to go for a lot. He looked really good, even though I think the rest of that offense is kind of kind of ugly. But yeah, I think Jonathan Taylor's going to get dropped a lot of fat.
How about you, JoJo?
I mean, I'm still thinking Neighbors, even though he's come down to earth. I think that a lot of that has come from the offensive line woes when they lost both their tackles. Well, Andrew Thomas mainly, but yeah, he'll still go for a good amount. I do think this is D-Payne's team, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I like J.M. Hubbs' team more. He's got a couple running backs that are pretty nice. If you want to go to that one.
Yeah, I will jump over to that one when
yeah.
we're ready
But yeah,
to. Let's stick with the
Neighbors,
format, JoJo. We're not done here yet, buddy.
Well, scroll down and see what else he got. Because I mean, I'm thinking Jacoby Myers will be serviceable for sure. If you need a quarterback and you want to set yourself up, Tua is definitely a viable option. I'm not big on Dalvin Cook. I think Garendo is a sleeper. I mean, I think you could probably get him for cheap. I would probably add him for depth just because, again, 2 Achilles injuries with both of CMC's legs coming back after the bye, rumored. But Jordan Mason, that shoulder injury is lingering. So
yeah, he keeps going out every game he plays. So yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, now I'm with you, man. I made the classic mistake. It cost myself a really big loss this week by 2 points because I had Isaac Garendo on the bench and I had Rico Dowdle in the game. And because Rico Dowdle was a last-second scratch, I was like, "What?" I only had the one player on my bench available to drop was Isaac Garendo to pick up Zeke Elliott, so I could at least get some play. Obviously, Mason was healthy, so Garendo wasn't a for sure player to play anyways. So I figured I'd take Dallas's starter and hope he can score me a little bit enough to survive. And sure enough, did Garendo not go off? And Zeke got me just enough to lose by 2.
I will say this, guys. This might be a little pro tip here. If you're going against someone who's coming back on you in a matchup, play them in the captain spot on these island games and hedge your bets a little bit because it's like, okay, like for instance, I'll give you an example. Going against Najee Harris in some of these matchups that I had going into tonight, I'll captain Najee in these showdowns on DK or on FanDuel. That way, if he goes off, you might win some ducats on that end. Even if you lose, okay. Or usually the fantasy guys don't want to let you win a lot of dough. So then he has a bad game and you still win your matchup in season long. It happens a lot for me. Like I usually hedge my bets that way.
Oh, that's funny. Well, there you go, guys. Pro tip from our DFS pro JoJo. You go out there and hedge your bets with your DFS bets and you'll always win somewhere. That's perfect. Awesome. All right, let's go look at JM Hubbs' team real quick since JoJo's chomping at the bit to check this one out. What do we got here? Come on, computer, keep up. We got a podcast to do. All right. So he's got some solid players, man. Matthew Stafford, Jahmyr Gibbs, Najee Harris, Jalen Waddle, Keenan Allen, and Isaiah Likely were his and Puka Nacua were his starters for this week. And his bench, he has Andy Dalton, Dante Foreman, Cam Akers, Trey Tucker, Raven McLeod, Darius Slayton. A couple of guys that, maybe you could have for depth potentially, but I wouldn't, drop anybody major for other than his starters. His starting lineup is pretty solid with the exception of Likely. Is there who do you think out of this group, JoJo, would be the one that's going to probably garner the most cash?
I still think right now, running back scarcity, especially going into the latter part of the year, I always preach RB scarcity. Like I always start out my drafts with a lot of a lot of receivers, but as you get into the season, it's all about the running backs right now. And so I'm going to lean Gibbs over Puka since Puka's also returning back from an injury. Granted, I think Puka went earlier than Gibbs in most drafts. Probably a little bit premature, but
did you only say that because Zoobs is on the podcast right now? Is that a little slight, like underhanded shot at Zoobs over here because he drafted?
Gibbs is going to go for more money, right, Zoobs?
Oh, Gibbs is definitely going to go for more money. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's close. I mean, Gibbs he's on arguably the better offense. He looks good. Like you said, with the running back scarcity and the injuries to the position, yeah, he's definitely Don't get me wrong. I'm eyeing Puka myself as
He came back with a vengeance too. Like he was balling first game back. So
he,
Puka's balling like that.
That was
he
you
finished
want
with
to talk
what?
about some vindication right there too, man, because I was totally like hanging on to him for dear life in my high dollar league, getting messed from everybody. Oh, you don't even know when he's coming back, and and then all of a sudden it's like less than like 12 hours. They're like, oh, he might play. Oh, Puka's playing. Oh, Puka's getting every target in the world. It's like it was great, man.
I think the sneaky pickup on this team though is probably Stafford, because as long as those two, like if you just want to stash him, because as long as Puka and Cup are going to stay healthy, I mean he's going to put up points like that consistently. So yeah, he's the one who I don't think a lot of people are going to go for, but if you can just get him for just a small amount of your fob and just
Don't
play
tell
him
me you're on the
either.
fob train. It's fab.
No, I like
I'm
Bob
good.
too. I'm always going to stick with Bob.
Fab.
If there's 2 A's, it's Bob. You take away 1 A, and I'll call it Fab.
Yeah, it's sob. It's like fob,
How about
with the 2 A's. It's
How
the
do we call it?
long.
They're all called Fabe. Just put long A's. Not fob, not fab. Fabe.
Oh, that's funny. So yeah, this is the other interesting factor in this, guys, is that you have 18 teams that are doing this now, and we're already in week 8, as opposed to how you start out in a normal guillotine league. You'd be already losing 8 teams by going into this week. 7 teams going into this week. So it's definitely going to have a different aspect in that. Plus, everybody started and potentially now has less money than the first 5-6 weeks of guillotine across the board. So the prices, I definitely think, are going to be a lot lower. I think they'll be more bunched than they were.
Yeah.
They won't be as spread out. You'll get a lot more single digit victories on bids, as opposed to what we've been seeing so far in the other leagues. But I'm excited to see how it plays out.
We also got buys coming back because this was a weird week where no buys were, no team had on a buy, but we go right back to bye weeks next week. Obviously, a big one in San Francisco. I think the other one is Pittsburgh. I don't know if there's more than 2 teams. Is there more than 2 teams, or just those 2?
I think it's just those 2. I know Pittsburgh for sure, and so.
Okay.
I mean, how pissed off would you be, dude, if there's no teams on a bye this whole week and you had a week 4 bye or week 5 bye, whatever the earliest one was? I can't remember off the top of my head right now.
Week 5.
Yeah. Could you imagine, how I'd be irritated as hell, man? Give me a week 5 bye and then you give nobody a bye week in this week. Just move all of us on week 5 to this week. What the hell's the point of that? That's so dumb.
Yeah, I got some. I got some catching up to do. It's kind of one of those things where you have to also know where your team is at. You can look at your matchup, because obviously if you win your matchup, there's a good chance that you're okay. Right, because it's a guillotine spot. And I mean, can you correct me though? Is there 2 teams per week that get eliminated from here on out?
From that league, yes. From the triathlon league, there is 2 teams that are going to be eliminated.
Yeah,
Up to week 15 or 14.
I'm sorry?
Up to week 15, right?
I believe it's 14.
14, okay.
Yeah, I think week 15 starts the playoff week. So it's how you want to say it.
Okay, so yeah, week 15 is basically the start of the best ball playoff sort of situation. And
there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really, really stoked, man. But it's gonna be a lot of fun.
I'm glad I'm a part of it for this new format that I'm in, at least in the second phase. So I'll count my blessings right now.
That was the one thing I was saying too, man. I was like, I don't even want to be eliminated, or if I get eliminated next week, I'm okay. I get 1 weekend at least to test the waters. But if I get eliminated right out the gate, I don't even get to try the second phase or third phase. I'm just so upset. After all the work we put in on this, I don't want to be eliminated yet.
They're telling me there's a chance, man. That's what you're gonna be hoping.
Oh, we got a couple of our regulars, Cheeky Hobson and Grinder Omega, sitting in there talking to us. How you guys doing today?
Oh, yeah,
still here with us. I know you posted that earlier. I meant to mention that, and I just got going talking all this exciting triathlon talk. But
welcome. Good to see you, Cheeky.
So let's roll into our first league over here for our regular guillotine leagues. So this is where it's going to start getting fun, guys. as you notice, when we go through, we're going to start with the dollar amounts from last week's bids, and they are significantly lower for the top guys than we've seen before. So we're starting to get to that crunch time where people are running out of dough and they don't have the money to throw a lot more than this item, and it's just going to be consistently lowering weekly as we roll through here. So it's going to be a lot of really strategic bidding going forward. So let's look at our first guy. Our first guy off the board, most expensive player this league, was $43 for Tyreek Hill. Went to our good buddy Trevor, our buddy Tortoise out there, taking Tyreek Hill off the board at $43. What do you guys think of that bid?
If I'm seeing it correctly, he has $13 remaining because you can kind of see it in grayed out below. So he only had about 56. I think that's a steal, in all honesty. I mean, Tua's back. That should probably be a lot more. That's one thing I also noticed, Sean, is that no one has really gone even to the levels I went to just about 2 weeks ago of really going high. So that's something I'm trying to pocket for future reference of Guillotine and Ballsville, at least, that I think a lot of people are a little gun shy when it comes to shelling out dough, but it's probably smarter. I mean, because even if you miss out on the guy you wanted, there's a good chance that person also can get eliminated. And if you had the restraint, there's a good chance you can pick him up for even cheaper. And this is just a testament to that.
Yeah. No, it's 100% right, man. And I do think he's going to start trending in the right direction now that they got a full offense. I also think that because their defense is playing as poorly as they have been, if that continues, then they're going to also have to be in like a shootout scenario a lot of times too. So Miami's going to be forced to pass the ball a lot more and try to keep up with these teams. So, it's going to be one of those scenarios, almost a perfect storm kind of setup. If you can get him like this week, I think you're kicking butt.
If Tua stays upright, that's like you said, that's a steal.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. So he only overbid Scott by $6 too, so that was definitely the right amount to get him if you wanted him.
But Scott fired right back. He got himself.
He did. He actually, if you could tell, he basically bid the same amount for both Cooper and Tyree. So he's like,
I'm trying to get one of them.
Yep. So there was 10 people that bid on him. He only outbid the next guy closest was Connor at $30. So he definitely, got him at the right price. And obviously we see his plan. He wanted one of the two and he got one. So worked out for him. DeAndre Swift for $36. It sounds like a slight overbid based on what we just saw the other guys go for, but he's coming on strong. And I think moving forward, he might be a solid play. It's hard to not feel that way at this point with everything playing out over the last 3-4 weeks the way it has. It's just I thought it was a flash in the pan, but he's done it for 4 weeks straight now. I mean, where are you at with that, JoJo? You think DeAndre is somebody to keep on your starting lineup and be consistent with him in a flex role and be okay with that? Or do you think he's still more matchup based?
I mean, he's the last couple of defenses he's gone against, actually the last 4 where he kind of really started his run, Rams, Carolina, Jacksonville, Washington, are not any defenses you can really write home about. But he's getting the volume that he's never really gotten in Detroit. And I think Zoobs can probably attest to this because he's been a Detroit fan. Obviously he was with Philly last year, so minus 1 year. But did you ever see DeAndre Swift getting 16 carries, 21 carries, 17 carries, 18 carries? He never got that kind of work. So that is something to write home about. And granted, yes, it is against, I would say, probably bottom half to even bottom tier defenses overall. But you can't knock it, man. You play who you're across against, right? He's playing and he's dominating the competition he's going against. So definitely viable. But if you go to the next bid where you got Devon Achane, I love that price at $19. It was just like Tyreek, getting it for cheap, and that's a steal.
Yeah, I was definitely pleasantly surprised that he went for only $19. Especially when I saw the rest of the bids going where they were at. And like you said, just exactly that, DeAndre Swift going that much higher. To me, I felt like I still have Achane ahead of Swift either way. So to get Achane at almost half the price, I think is a pretty good move at this point.
Yeah, if those two prices were switched, I wouldn't even bat an eye. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
There's a piece of me that thinks that Achane is a little slightly more explosive, a little I mean, he's smaller than Swift, but Swift's small too, and he gets hurt. He gets hurt a lot,
Yep.
and that's why in Detroit they never gave him the volume like that because his body couldn't handle it. He was just always getting hurt. So I think they're both a little volatile, but yeah, for the price you got HN, that's just mind blowing.
Yeah. And I mean, we didn't actually look at the bids. We'll look at the difference in bids on this, which this is pretty drastic. He bid 36 on him, and he was the only one that bid above 17. So, you could see where I was at with Swift. I had him $2 under HN on my bid, so it was obvious who I would have taken if I had a choice between them. I wanted the HN over Swift based on my bidding.
Yeah.
So it's definitely shocked that he went as high as he did, but sometimes you got to make a move in these leagues if you really need a position. And, we'll see. I wonder if he got Swift and maybe he made a bid here on HN as well and couldn't get him. Doesn't look like it. He wanted Swift and Swift was his guy. So
maybe he's a Chicago guy. Maybe he's a fan.
Yeah. I was a little surprised knowing Trevor that he didn't bid more than $7 on HN there.
He wanted McCaffrey, and that's who we got.
Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense because you did see he got him here for $17, which is basically a steal right there too, knowing that he's coming back at this point. As long as he stays healthy, that's gonna bigger steal than anything I could do with HN even at his best. So
yeah, these bids are pretty juicy, man. I'm actually like I'm kind of upset that I wasn't in Sleepy Hollow, man. Like maybe I would have.
Yeah, this was a good team that was available too. So there was a lot of players and there wasn't a lot of fob out across the board. So it was a pretty fun one to bid in.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Only went for 18. That's a good deal too, the way he's playing. And I only bid 6 on him. How stupid am I? That's my guy. I should have bid way more than $6.
Yeah, but he's a little volatile, right? I think it could be pretty thin. You don't know what's what with him yet. I think him and Cooper will slightly rob each other throughout the year too. So it's a little because they do have similar skill sets, and I think Cooper he didn't play a lot this game, but I think that had a lot more to do with situational aspect than it did much else. Weather and everything else that was going on. So I definitely don't think that. Keon's going to continue to have every week consistency like he has the last couple of weeks, but I think he's definitely going to get games where he's like, holy crap, because he's definitely showing that he's got a skill set that is really hard to defend against. Yeah, but this is the second time only in 8 weeks where he got over 80% of snaps. So that's a good sign too. If he can live up in that 80+% snap rate, he's on the field more, and that's usually a good indication where he can get some more targets.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I agree. I definitely do think that, he's going to be one of those people. If he stays on the field, he'll be good. Like I said, I think Cooper will bleed into that snap percentage and they'll rob each other slightly. But that's just, what I anticipate because of their skill set being similar. And Shakir has proven that he earned the role that he has, and I don't see either of them eating into that role because it's so much different.
So different, yeah. But what would you have Keon at 18 versus what you got Marvin at 11? Obviously, Marvin's had a lot of struggles too. I mean, granted, you got Marvin, so I'm sure that you wanted him. But what would you guys, Zoob? I'm gonna buy a non-party in this because obviously Sean got Marv, but who would you rather have, Keon or Marvin rest of the season?
Yeah, I am a little worried about Keon, and just because of the Cooper factor, because I mean Cooper's still getting up to speed, so we don't even know what we don't know what he might fully be in that offense just yet. And if he does kind of come out as the alpha, I mean, yeah, it's a little scary with Keon. I think I would have leaned Marvin. I think that's and especially for the price. I mean, it's not a huge difference. It's only $7, but
$7 could be the difference between that badass player and the last week before playoffs, though. So
a lot, yeah.
It really could in a guillotine league, especially one that's starting to run so thin at waiver claim like this one.
Yeah. Now I want to say Arizona's got a late bye. I think they've got the week 11 bye. Yeah. So what if he's that? What if there's always that rookie blast off after the bye, they say. So, what if right for the championship, the last couple weeks, Marvin Harrison just takes off to the moon. So
there is definitely that chance.
I mean, I've got faith in Marvin, And I'm with you, Zoobs. Like, I would take Marvin over Keon in redraft right now, just as like a straight up trade. I would take Marvin over Keon. And then for the price, you add that like caveat into this, equation that we're talking about. Definitely Marvin.
Yeah.
So that's I'm with you guys on that. And then you go even one step further and look at the next guy. Jalen McMillan went off the board at only $1 less than Marvin, and I'll take Jalen McMillan, or I'll take Marvin Harrison over him, all day, every day of the week, and twice on Sundays.
Yeah, $10 for Jalen McMillan is woo. That is a spicy meatball, C-bomb.
I mean, you look, and I was the next closest bid at $3, so he definitely wanted him for sure. But the fact that he bid the 10 on him, and then I didn't even verify 100, I'm gonna go back and look to see he put 10. So he put 10 on both Marvin and McMillan. And had he known the situation, I bet you money he would have just dropped his McMillan bid altogether and just bet $3 more on Marvin and been happy as a clam in good water, right?
Yep.
That's what you got to love about the bidding, man. This is blind bidding. I wish you knew. I wish you knew.
Yeah, exactly. It's all, you never know, right? Scott too. Scott bid $12, but got bumped because of the way he set up his lineup. He wasn't eligible for it. So, that kind of stuff happens in these blind bids, which make it even more fun. So we'll move forward to the next few guys. Really wasn't anybody too crazy. I do think Take Dell for $3 is a pretty good steal at this point, especially after what happened with Diggs. I'm not sure if Diggs is going to come back this year. I think that looked pretty brutal to me. It looks like Diggs is probably out for the season and probably even beginning of next season, because that could be a torn ACL or MCL, PCL, whatever ligament it ended up being, because those non-contact injuries and the way he reacted, it's almost like a telltale sign to me.
Yeah.
So
it's always bad. It's never good.
Yeah,
never good.
I hold out hope until they give us the 100. I hold out hope, but it's very minimal.
Yeah, I will say I'm very proud of myself for my $1 bid and win on Ricky Pearsall.
I was just going to say that.
I do think that's going to pay off for me. Especially Debo just went out with a rib thing. Ricky Pearsall looked real good.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good steal right there, and I wouldn't be surprised if that move if Ricky doesn't end up being the reason why Brandon Ayuk gets traded in the offseason, if they can get out from under that contract they just signed with him.
God, what a bungle. What a bungle by the 49ers on that.
I mean, I bet you every day John Lynch wakes up and the first thought in his head is, fuck, we should have taken that deal by the Steelers.
Yep.
I bet you that's literally the first thing that pops through his mind. Maybe after I love my kids, my wife, my life, then maybe it's that. But it's one of the first things for sure. It would be on my mind anyways, because that's definitely like if they made that move and were able to utilize what they got back in return to make some massive move right now at the end of this trade deadline, then they would have been in a lot better shape. But hindsight, right? Yep. They're definitely doing pretty good over there overall. They're batting better than a major league all-star batter, so percentage wise. So I wouldn't give it too much stake as far as that's concerned. I just definitely think it's a thorn in his side. Say that, to say the least, right? I'd be remiss without mentioning the Baker Mayfield pickup for $3, just because I think he then still is or was last week and is probably still sitting top 3. He was like the top quarterback, I think, up until this week. If not, he's still in the top 3, I think. So that's a steal for $3. Even if you don't need him right now, you just stash him on your bench and, you make it to the playoffs where we jump to that second quarterback and you're looking pretty good.
I wouldn't have predicted that he would have looked so good losing his 2 top pass catchers, but man, Baker's is playing on fire.
Right? Yeah, he is. He's really been playing well. I think it'll continue too, even though he lost Godwin. It seems like they're going to be able to kind of move forward. He was off just a little bit last week. I think that's just a little bit of like getting to know the nuances of these new receivers a little bit more. And understanding that, I think that'll get better as the weeks go on. And I think McMillan is definitely a good play going forward. I think that Baker's going to stay a good play going forward. I think that Bucky and Rashid White both take upticks in their passing, options. So I think that's an uptick for them in that area. So, but I don't think I don't think any of that's going to mean anything worse for Baker.
Yeah, and hopefully Mike Evans can, kick that hamstring. Hopefully that thing doesn't linger. He comes back and make a good push for the last couple weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that one. So let's go into the games for this week and see some scores and find our unlucky loser for the week. So this is the one league I am still alive in, thank God. And not only am I still alive, I wish I could have just taken a good 50 of these points or so and thrown them to my other team so that I didn't have to worry about it. I dang sure didn't need them over here. I had this locked up by the end of the first round of games, it felt like. So the 172.82, I think, is definitely the highest in this league and the highest, I think, across all the leagues, honestly. It was just one of those weird weeks where everything fell in place. It'll be fun to go see what exactly happened there to make that work. We had Josh scored great, Kyron, Achan, JSN was the only one that didn't exceed his expectation, and he had that rare occurrence of no red, no green, just nice and gray, which is super odd in these when that happens. It's always weird to see. But everybody else in the starting lineup scored above their projections. So it was one of those weeks, man. I mean, I just had everybody in, and for some reason, even Khalil Shakir, the one guy that I kind of felt like, oh man, I kind of have to put this guy in this week, even though I didn't really have high hopes, being that I expected the other two to do good. He came out and proved me wrong, and thankfully so, because it's always nice to win, but it's even nicer to win by that much.
Quick interjection.
Thank God I got this team left, because man, without this team, I would be extremely butthurt with what I got to go through on all these guillotine leagues for the rest of the season. I
had a feeling that you would have had a great scoring week because of how Achan and Harrison produced, and I'm like, not to mention whatever you had, on the roster already. So that is a great output. But interjection on triathlon. I know we went past it, but standings just updated, so around 9:30, 9:40. I am actually eliminated because of league median.
Oh no!
The real reason why I interjected, not because of that, I'm not putting the blame on me. The thing on me is actually I got a notification when I go to my team that the trade deadline is this week. So are you guys keeping the trade deadline this early into the triathlon game?
I think that the reason that we did it was because we weren't 100 that we wanted trades in guillotine, so we didn't do it this season. I think that was the initial I'm trying to think back on the conversation we had, because there were so many of them, and when we actually discussed that portion of it, but that would be I think the outcome. I'm like 90% that was what we decided to do this go around. Doesn't mean that we won't look at that as an update for 2025's newly revamped version, but it's what I think we moved into this one so that we could kind of like make things a little streamlined, one less thing that could potentially create a bubble, issue or something that we don't know about right now, trying to create this. Great. So, we figured it's something we'll wait on and kind of figure out if we want to include next year after we see how it plays.
No problem. Yeah, that was the real thing. Well, now I'm out.
Well, no, the real thing is that you just sat there and had us go through what some poor guy out there is going to listen to the first part of this podcast, and he's going to think
I forgot about league median.
I'm going to come back into that league. He's going to delete the league altogether now. We're going to have to chase him down. No, sorry, JoJo was wrong.
I was wrong like 3 times in the same thing. I went wrong. No, I was right originally.
So who was it now, before we move forward? Who was it that did get eliminated and wasn't eliminated and is now still in it?
So JM Hub survived because he got the league median.
Okay, so JM Hub bottom 2. Please don't shoot the messenger, because I was given a false message. It's not my fault, buddy. You are still alive. Do not delete the league. Do not leave that team. You are still moving strong, and now you have a chance to make.
I'll even put it out there. I said I'll put JoJo and D-Pain.
You don't have to do. You don't have to go and throw yourself under the. Oh, I thought you were going to tell him that you said it wrong on the pod.
No. Well, no, because that way he'll get the notification on the league chat of triathlon. So.
Oh, that's funny, man. Yeah, dude, that'll be good. I'll go in there and pin it so everybody knows that who got eliminated right out the gate was 2 of our managers. And and one of them didn't want to believe it so much so that he even convinced us to eliminate a whole different team before the standings update.
Hey, well, I had him in points 4. It just obviously didn't matter in that sense because he actually got league median.
Okay, man.
I hate league median. Wasn't that a topic last week?
Right? League median is one that I think is awesome. I mean, everybody talks about Scott has a league where he does a double header thing because they like the idea of a league median like type of tiebreaker in a scenario where you do have a good week and just play a good team. But they did a double header, and now he runs into the times where he plays 2 good teams and he's the 3rd highest scorer and plays the first 2 highest scorers, and now he loses twice even though he's the 3rd best team in the league that week. And so to me, league median is definitely a fun way to kind of level things out a little bit when it comes to those matchups like that where you just happen to run into the bus all week for somebody.
Crazy.
But yeah, man. So that's the team that scored the best, which is, thank God, a good team that hopefully will keep me alive in the guillotines for a little while longer at least. But let's find out who was the most the eliminated team in this league here. It looks like every single team except for one scored over 100 points in this league. So, I mean, you're looking at a whole new ball game now, man. Every single team except for our buddy El Super Biesto. Unfortunately, I don't get to say that name anymore in this league because your team is gone. Legend of Super Biesto is no longer a legend. It is now a folktale, which will die off in time, just like his players will now move to my team or JoJo's or Zoob's, but not yours. Sorry, my friend. I always like to give you guys a nice little, farewell kind of.
Well, we should all have at least a drink in our hand just to toast to the person who's leaving.
Give him a eulogy, a nice friendly little.
We do a little cheers and we take a little sip, and especially for a Super Biesto, I know he's a big, at least I think he's a whiskey guy. So.
Yeah, right. If I had some whiskey with me, I mean, I could get up and run over to grab a beer, but I don't want to leave you guys hanging.
No, you're all good.
Plus, I've drank so much over the last few days that I don't think I could handle another beer right now.
Oh, no, this would just be a sip, man. This is not that about.
Oh, that's funny. So let's look at his team then. Who are we going to get to have fun with bidding on this week? We've got Jordan Love, Saquon Barkley, J.K. Dobbins, Romeo Dobbs, Jamar Chase, Mark Andrews, Deebo Samuel, Mari Cooper, Matthew Stafford, Bucky Irving, Ray Davis, Kamini Vidal, Ramondre Stevenson, Deontay Johnson, and Cole Kmet. Man, not a single name on that roster, with the exception of Mamie, Kamini Vidal, and Ray Davis, deserves to be on the waiver wire in this league.
I was about to say,
person should be picked up.
Every single one of them has a pulse.
Yeah, that's such a good team to have the opportunity to pick up players off of this week.
And you've got probably 3 of the top 3 running backs, probably in the top 20 or 24 running backs for the season. I mean, yeah, this is going to be wild. Yep.
That's and Andrews is coming back to life, which I don't think is a smokescreen. I could see that being something that just continues for the rest of the season too. So, he's got. I mean, like you said, JoJo, every single player on this roster deserves a bid. That's going to be fun.
I think there's going to be some that are going to be really low or maybe even free. 1 or 2.
Yeah, Ray Davis, Kamini Vidal, but 2 out of the whole squad. I mean, I could see everybody else going for a minimum of $1 at least. Every single person should be $1, right? With Deontay, Ramondre. Those are probably his lowest level guys other than Ray Davis, Kamini Vidal.
Yeah, I would say Andrews is definitely starting to come back to life because remember, I think the biggest narrative out of week 1 was that, it's an aberration. He was on the field a lot. He had 74% of snaps. He finally matched that mark in week 8. Every single other week, he was 60% below in snaps. So snap percentage. And he finally reached that, so he's starting to ascend again and getting on the field more. So that's one note. The other note I would say out of this team is just cautioning Deebo bidders because obviously they're on bye this coming week. So I would caution that. I don't think he should be going as far as much. Plus, with all the pneumonia stuff, he didn't even finish the game last week, but he's got a little extended time to recover.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one, man. I definitely think that Andrews is worth a decent amount of money if you need a tight end, because that position has been real volatile this season so far. So I agree with you on that one. Is there anybody in your mind, Zoobs, that you think is a sneaky good steal, because there is so many good players on this roster that a guy that potentially would go for more isn't going to go for as much because people are going to focus on the other names, like somebody that's an under the radar guy you can snag, like how Marvin Harrison ended up being in that other one we just discussed?
It might be Deontay Johnson. I know this week I've heard a lot of rumblings. I've seen a lot of stuff coming out from high level sources that he's on the trade block. They're looking to move him. If he goes to the right place, and kind of like with Devontae Adams, suddenly all his injuries disappear now, and he's back on the field playing with a good QB and a good offense. He might, because he's looked good the times he has been on the field for the Panthers. I mean, he's about the only thing on that offense that really is working. So if he goes to the right place, he might be a good steal.
Yeah,
because I think.
Could you imagine go ahead? I'm sorry, my friend.
No, I was just gonna say, he didn't play this week, and people are kind of maybe a little down on him because the Panthers are kind of just throwing this season away. So yeah.
Schefter did that on the McAfee show. I even think he was like really leaning on Deontay moving.
I
think Schefter's a good source on that.
Could you imagine if the Chiefs still got another piece and grabbed him too?
They should.
I mean, that would turn that offense into another scary weapon again, because you put him and Hopkins and then have the Worthy on the other side. Still, I mean, that's a pretty scary trio now with Kelce being back.
And Deontay does a lot of things that Rasheed did. He's that short area, short line of scrimmage stuff, and he can get open. He's got a lot of wiggle in his routes.
And he gets a lot of gap
separators. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
he gets that. He gets that gap.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. If I was the Chiefs, I might have been a little more prone to chase after him than Hopkins, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And if I had to get one or the other, I would have went him over Hopkins, and or try to get both, but definitely him at minimum, right? So hopefully that's their game plan, and they're doing everything they can to get him now. So we'll see, but. Actually not really, hopefully, because I'm a Bills fan, but that's I think for the situation, that's like a circle into a circle hole kind of thing.
Yeah, so I'm actually with Zoobs. That's actually a very sharp call out there, because if he does get moved, people might not be thinking about that, but you get it for cheap, that could be rapid ascension in the value that you might get out of that bid. So very sharp.
Yep.
Yeah, good call on that one, brother. All right, let's move into our next league here. Our 18 heads in a duffel bag. My favorite league name, but my not so favorite.
You need a drop for that.
What's that?
Spirit of give us a drop for some of these team names, or these league names, I should say.
I know, right? But eventually, I want to use my movie phone voice to go ahead and throw us one. Because I like to do a good movie phone. If you guys remember movie phone or not.
Oh, movie phone.
Right? You remember that?
I don't.
Oh. Thank you for calling.
Am I that young, or what was this?
What's that?
Am I that young, or what was this?
Maybe, bro. Before there was the internet, there was this thing that you had to pick up an actual phone that had a cord on it.
I did have that.
Into the wall,
I do with that.
Right? I know phones actually had cords at some point, but you had to pick up a phone that had a little keypad with a bunch of buttons, actual buttons on it. And you press the buttons there to dial a number, and you actually called 222 film was the phone number. And it was a voice that was obviously electronic. It was just hello, and thank you for calling movie phone. If you know the name of the movie,
okay, now. Back. Okay.
And it would go through this whole spiel, Wolverine and Deadpool playing at 3 p.m. It was just this whole little thing. It was so much fun, bro. I want to do a little voice like that and do 18 heads in a duffel bag.
There you go.
Something like that.
Definitely. Now that bringing back memories. Okay.
Yeah, I love movie phones.
Appreciate the
It's so much
reenactment
fun.
there.
Yeah, anytime, man. Anytime you need a good movie phone voice, man, just give me a holler. I'll throw it out there. My favorite. So I'm not like this league though, since I am no longer in it, because you are talking to the eliminated man in this league. It is myself. That's right. Tommy's luggage is now caught at the airport, opened up, found the heads. He is arrested. He is in jail for life. All his players are being forfeited to the government and sold off at the next auction. It is over for him, my friends. Oh, so painful. But we won't talk about my team just yet because we want to go over these dollar amounts from the last week's bids before we go too crazy into my, demise, I should say. This
I
one,
think
our
it was,
best go ahead. I'm sorry, brother.
I think was it. It was. I was eliminated last week, wasn't I? On this one.
Yeah, I believe this was your elimination, my friend. We'll go
All
look
right.
at
Let's
our team
see.
messages right here.
Let's see what you vultures did to my poor team.
No, this was not you. You were eliminated the week prior.
Okay, week
This
before.
one was
Okay.
this one was Crows 24 was our eliminated
Yeah.
team, which that's a good point to bring that up. I need to start doing that every time that we go through this, is talk about, just at least mention whose team it was that we were picking dry on these bids, because I feel like they deserve one last shout out, for the league, right? But so James Conner was our top guy from his squad. We had $44 with 10 bids. And looks like K Doggy Dog outbid me. I was the next closest guy by almost double my bid. He outbid me by $21.
That's a running back needy team right there.
Yeah. And not to say James Conner is not a bad back to get. I know he's not flashy, but he has been one of the most consistent scorers in fantasy so far in a position that's been real volatile. So, that's definitely not a bad piece to pick up. Unlike the next piece that our poor 760 side buddy only got half a game out of for his $33. So that's very unfortunate luck for him. It's not a terrible bid; it's just terrible luck.
Yeah. And with Nico out, you would have expected Diggs or Dell or both to kind of, rise above. And that injury is brutal.
Yeah, especially being that this was 2 weeks into the 4 week or 1 week after the IR stint. So 3 more weeks of, in your opinion, wide receiver one in a high powered offense, trajectory that almost plays you right into the playoffs, a few weeks from anyway. So, he picked that guy up for $33 thinking this is a solid piece to make a run rest of the way through. And, here he is half a game afterwards, looking to pick up the pieces and $33 less. So it's unfortunate. Like I said, it's not a bad bid. It's just an unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah.
And so I ended up picking up Malik Neighbors for $31, which does not look nearly as good as I thought it did when it happened. But I outbid the next guy by only $5. So I guess I don't feel as bad about that part of it, but I almost feel like I would have underbid by $5, so I didn't have to take on that headache, because now it seems like that is basically what I have for the rest of the season. But we'll find out, I guess, right? Oh, no, we won't, because I'm gone. So I basically spent $31 on a guy that I got one quarter out of, or one game out of, and now he's back on the waiver wire. So that will be interesting to see what he goes for next week, right? How much lower is he going to go for after this game?
Now this is the next one. This next one surprises me. James Cook for 27 when James Conner went for 44.
Yeah, that's a shock to me that he went for that much lower. I mean, Chiefs Life outbid Thrill Kill by literally the waiver claim order because of the same amount. So that's definitely a steal right there. You feel good about those when that happens, but especially on top of that, you add the fact that James went for that much less than Connor, and you did that. That's just a triple win for that guy. Who hasn't had to deal with a loss yet this season in his real life team. So that's pretty frustrating.
Right.
Let's see here. Let's look through Devontae Adams, next guy going off for $27. That looks horrible now.
Look at me started.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
yeah.
outbid C-Bomb by $8. But I mean,
I feel
now
like
who knows?
I feel like we have to have a somber podcast just by itself for the Jets and their horrible, horrible season.
Yeah, let's give him a quick moment of silence. Okay, that's good.
I mean, I know this is going to be a hot take or whatever, or not. I don't know if it's a hot take, but it's just my personal opinion. I mean, I honestly just weigh how much Aaron Rodgers has been touted his entire career, right? Most talent, this and that. I honestly don't feel like he should be a Hall of Famer. Like, I really don't. Just like how much he's so touted, everything he's done. I get it. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. I'm not saying he's not, but just my personal opinion, I don't think he should be. How smug he is, the leadership qualities are not there. He does things when he wants to. I really don't think he should be. I mean, obviously the play on the field speaks for itself. He set a lot of records. You know, he throws a lot of touchdowns in his career. But only one Super Bowl appearance, and one, obviously he's one of one in that sense because he's 100%. But to never go back there, doesn't seem like he's going to make it there anytime soon. That's just my personal thing, man. I know he's going to be. I just don't think he should. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
No, I'm with you. I mean, I've never been a huge Aaron Rodgers as a person fan. I've always kind of gotten, the same type of thing we talked about yesterday that I know you guys weren't listening on it, but you'll hear it when you go back. It's we talked about that with Chris Collinsworth. We had a Chris Collinsworth, Joe Buck talk for a little while. And, and it wasn't centered on, what we think of what they're doing as far as their, professional approach to their jobs and things. It was more about like, I don't get the impression. I haven't heard anything. This is just an opinion that impression I get from, what I've seen of him and small bits that I've heard about interactions with him, but I just don't think he seems like a good person. And to me, that's hard to root or to want to like listen to somebody who I just think inside is not really like a nice guy or really, is kind of more of a narcissistic type of personality, maybe.
For sure.
And that's what, and then that triggered Scott with a conversation about he's heard some specific stories about interactions with Joe Buck where he puts off the same vibe, and he doesn't have a lot of love for Joe Buck for the same reason. So I hope that I'm wrong. I hope Chris Collinsworth is a great guy in real life, and I just don't know it. But I think Aaron Rodgers has proven with enough that we know about what he is personally that that's pretty much the case with him, and I don't really see any way around that. I think it's pretty much proven.
It's kind of like one of those things where it's like even if people put that persona on you and kind of coin you in a certain way, but then you kind of project that same thing like over and over again. They're like, you're not really bucking the trend of what people are saying about you at all, and he just kind of shrugs it off.
Yeah,
so yeah, that
he's proving the point more than he's
behavior. Yeah, it's just bad to me. I don't know.
Yeah, you got
he got his guy, and he's still they're 0-2. I mean, since he's gotten there, I don't know, man. It's weird. It's very weird.
Not only did he get his guy, he got his coach fired. He got his offensive play caller that he basically tells what to do. Like he got the team pretty much handed to him. He's pretty much head coach and quarterback right now.
And then shrugs it off on McAfee show like, oh, you guys don't think I have all this power that you guys think I do. I'm like, you do, but you're going to keep denying it. Okay.
I mean, that's another thing. Like, yes, you say something, but all the actions say different.
Coming out of me right now, Zoo. I'm sorry, Zoos.
That's all good, brother.
You're talking to a Lions fan, man. He ain't got no love for Aaron Rodgers.
That's true.
No,
but I didn't want to like bog down too much time. That's all.
Oh no, it's all good, man. So moving on though, the next bid was the Chuba Hubbard. He went for $21 with the 6 total bids there. I don't think that's terribly bad. I think that's decent for what he's done, but I don't know how much he's going to continue to be based on the way the team's trending and Brooks coming on board soon. So we'll see how it plays forward.
Do we think they're going to play Brooks this year, or just let him redshirt because it's such a dumpster fire and they just want him to play out his rookie year without getting hurt again or something else?
No, I think they knocked the rust off this year with him. I mean, I don't think maybe they play him as much as they hoped they would have when they drafted him and all that, because they are so far out of the weeds now. But I think it's the best thing for him too. You don't want him waiting all through off season before he
Yeah.
has any live game action. So I think they'll knock the rust off with him. Probably wait later. They'll probably activate him, but keep him as like a third string guy for like 3 weeks maybe or so, and then around like week 11, 12, they'll start to maybe sprinkle him in and just get his feet wet and let him get out there, get hit a few times, and get a feel for the game and the speed and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I think they'll be with him. But I think if you're carrying him on a redraft roster now, he's almost worthless.
Yeah.
As soon as he comes off a pub, you might hang on to him for a few weeks if you have the room and you don't have a deep bench, and see how it goes. But if it doesn't start out well after 2-3 weeks, then I don't think it'll ever get enough timeshare to make it worth it in a redraft situation.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Unless he comes out like on fire all of a sudden and just gets like 2 or 3 touches in one game and breaks it for like 130 yards and 2 touchdowns and has like, oh my gosh, we can't keep this guy off the field type of scenario. I doubt it off of the injury, but that's like the only way I think that he becomes like flexible at some point.
Yeah.
You agree, Jojo, or you got a different take
on
Brooks?
I was coughing there. I'm sorry.
No, on Brooks and where you put him at, like.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's definitely worth the roster spot if you're in a good spot with contending. But I think I was on past pods where I was just kind of wondering like when he will come back, and also what Zub was saying about tank mode. Seems like they're going to let him play based on like opening the practice window, things like that. It's just tough though. I mean, he's coming off a serious injury, and they are not going to be anywhere near contending. I think they should only give him a sizable workload, but it shouldn't be a full. I don't think they should be giving him a full with the way the team is. I really don't.
What I think would be perfect for him is the exact same amount of workload that Braylon Allen has gotten from 1 to now. So like basically if you treat him like the moment you're actually going to put him on the field the same way the Jets have treated Braylon Allen throughout the season. Sprinkle him in a little bit here and there, sprinkle him in a little bit more here and there, sprinkle him in a little bit more here and there. And like that's how and then by the end of the season, he's playing about where Braylon's playing now. And you're happy from what you've seen and you're ready and you're excited about next year.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think you should be any more than 50-50 though in the rest of the way.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well, no, I mean not what Braylon's going to do moving forward. I mean what he's done.
True.
From
Yeah.
Now
I'm just saying if they progress
back.
towards the end of the year and they're still playing him, I still think Chuba should still have 50% or more snaps.
Oh, absolutely. I think Chuba should have 60 to 70% all the way through the rest of the year, no matter what.
Yeah,
that's what I think. Honestly,
I would agree with that because I just don't want to subject them to any kind of other injuries for sure.
Yeah, no more than 30% for Brooks by the end of the season is, in my opinion, the smart thing to do. I think you got to keep it under that percentage, unless you just have some fucking crazy run all of a sudden. Which, how the hell is that going to happen at this point? I don't even think it's possible for them. So the next few guys that go off, there wasn't anything too nutty. I don't want to kind of move in through this a little bit because I know we're getting down on crunch time always here. Bateman I took for $7, which means absolutely nothing because he's going right back on the waiver wire this week. Michael Pittman went for $5. I thought that was actually a pretty good price for Pittman, especially with the news coming out today that they might go to Flacco potentially. I think they won't this week. I think they'll stick where they are. But if he has another bad week, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't sit him after next week. So Pittman would immediately take a jump if Flacco becomes a starter, in my opinion. You guys agree with that?
Yeah.
I still think Downs is 1A, or if not the alpha in that. So, but $5 is definitely fair for Pittman.
Yeah.
But I still think Downs is the guy to own in Indy.
So you think Downs is the guy over Pittman no matter what quarterback's throwing the ball?
Pittman's probably better for AR just because he just runs slants and it's closer line of scrimmage, where Downs kind of does a little bit more. He's more dynamic, and Flacco definitely seems to like Downs more than Pittman though, just based on the last couple starts.
Interesting. That's an interesting take to keep an eye on as we move forward.
Yeah, but he flashed yesterday. He took a short pass to the house. So Downs also shows some after the catch ability. So there's those things that if he keeps showing out, I think he's going to emerge, and he's already kind of emerging. So
yeah,
I like Downs a lot more.
Interesting take. Definitely. I mean, because they are both two completely different styles of receivers.
For sure. I think
So-
I think out of the rest of them, I want to call out a little bit more on Drake May. I know he got out with a concussion, but he has definitely surprised me. And obviously, since these guillotine leagues do end up going to Superflex, correct? So, picking him up for $1, you may not need to use him anytime soon. Obviously, he's hurt right now, but he can definitely be a viable option down the stretch for Cheeky, who was in the crowd in our chat here. So hopefully, stick around. But shout out to Cheeky.
Yeah, I love the pickup, but unfortunately, I hate the drop. Especially after what we saw this week. Like I think Stafford, not injury withstanding. I'm not including the injury in my assessment of this. I just think Stafford, having his two guys back, I think Stafford takes a big jump moving forward for the rest of the season. As long as they stay healthy, he's going to be in that low end QB1 range. I think, to be honest with you, so low to mid range, honestly, because he has those weeks where. Like this week, he throws 4 TDs or whatever it was. So, that I don't think, he knew it at the time because we didn't know anything about the status of those receivers 100% until after this move was made. So he kind of got hit with the same unlucky scenario with the Diggs situation where it just, you make these bids in one day and then all of a sudden 24 hours, the situation's completely different and he didn't realize that would happen. So, but only $1 spent is not going to break the bank, and maybe he can pick Matthew back up if he really wanted to.
Good, yeah, he definitely could. But I mean, Drake, with the production he was putting up and what he started to do even against the Jets, he was putting up QB1 numbers too. So I mean, it's kind of like a lateral move more than anything. But Drake obviously has a bigger ceiling in that sense, just because of what he can do with his leg.
Yeah,
I get your point though. I get your point.
Awesome, man. So that's the players from last week. So why don't we go ahead and look at all of my amazingly wonderful players that you guys are going to get to pick from this afternoon. Well, actually, I guess I could say this afternoon through tomorrow, and then we'll see what happens in the morning on Wednesday. But before I do that real quick, I do want to highlight that Team Chiefs Life might have, I do not 100% remember my score from the last league, but he might have just snuck ahead of me as the highest scoring team in the guillotine leagues. I think I was in the 175 range and he's in the 176 range. So you might have got me by 1 point there. Of course, Chiefs again, always having to take, stupid greedy Chiefs always got to
take your Bills' soul.
Never leave any scraps for the Bills. Always got to take. But you can go ahead and take some of my players here, and this is the ones you're going to get to take if you want. So let's see here. This is Tommy's luggage. Let's unpack. We've got, pun intended, by the way. We got Anthony Richardson, Bijan Robinson. I know it sounds great, right? Kareem Hunt, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Moore, Dalton Kincaid, the last second but didn't matter, Zeke Elliott, Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Michael Wilson, Xavier Worthy, Rashard Bateman, and Christian Watson. That is my lineup. Anybody out of that group that sticks out to you as the definite highest going guy there, Zoobs?
Yeah, that's a tough week, Sean, because that's superstars who just just superstars who just didn't live up to their potential this week. Man, Kincaid.
What cost me, by the way, before you say anything real quick, what cost me was playing Anthony Richardson over Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, you're hoping for that ceiling play, and God, Anthony Richardson has just been so bad this year. It's been really disappointing.
Yeah, it has. Tell me about it. I mean, at least now somebody else is gonna have to worry about it. He might even be on the bench after the waivers run. Who knows?
Yeah, man, Amon-Ra, does he put up low points? That's hard. But as a Lions fan, I love what they're doing. But week to week for fantasy, it's so hard to figure out if your starters in the Lions are even gonna be really really good this week. We're week to week, so that's tough. I think Kincaid's the guy. I know Bijan will get a lot of bids, but Kincaid to me is kind of the sneaky one. He's been coming on a bit more. I think as the season keeps going on. And tight end's another one of those positions that just it's hard to find points. So if you can find a guy who can get 4 receptions and a touchdown every week, that's perfect.
Yeah, I'm with you. So as far as the sneaky good pickup, JoJo, who's your sneaky good pickup out of this roster that you think you're going to get for the right price that might even be cheaper than you anticipate, but you have the knowledge that this guy is going to be a future stud?
Anthony Richardson. Just kidding.
Oh boy.
I was gonna remove you from the pod, buddy. I was about to just eliminate you.
I'm sticking to my preseason take that he's better than Stroud, although Stroud has not been playing well either. But I'm gonna go with Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go that we got 8 targets this week. That was the second week out of the bye. Granted, are what we just discussed about possibly Deontay maybe being a target for the Chiefs, maybe. That would probably put a little bit of a wrench in this, but I think, if the team's as is, he's going to keep getting that kind of work and just kind of seeing what he can do. I think Andy Reid's a really creative play caller and can try to get him the ball in different ways.
Yeah, I like that, JoJo, because you just look at his targets week to week. Week 1, it was 3, and then he went through 3 weeks of 4 targets, and then week 5 it was 6, and the last 2 weeks it's been 8 and 8. So that's just a steady climb of targets coming his way, and yeah, he's explosive when he gets the ball. So that's a good one.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one, man. I think the other guy that I think you could have maybe snuck in there, I still think yours is a better option for, but the next guy in line, in my opinion, would be Rashard Bateman, just because I think that his stat line for this week is slightly misleading. If I'm not mistaken, he had a ball bounce right off his face that would have given him like a big touchdown. So he's definitely got the potential in that offense. The way things are looking, he has a role that is defined in that offense, and they definitely want that 1A, 1B thing with him, Zay Flowers, I feel like, and then sprinkle in that Mark Andrews as the red zone, up the seam threat. So I think Bateman is carving out a nice little spot for himself in an offense that is, pointing up. So that's somebody that I think you could get, almost free, if not free. I like to throw $2-3 guys like that, or $5-6, $7 maybe, like just to make sure I get them if I feel good about them like that. But to me, it might be an overpay to Tom, Dick, and Harry, but to me, it's perfect amount to pay to make sure I get the guy that I have that high hope for.
I think he's either a bye week fill in, and I think he's also either, if you don't get the guys that you're going after above him, definitely put either $1 or $2 or just try to get a zero bid, because his schedule is kind of daunting. He's got Denver, assuming Surtain's back. I'm not sure if he was back this past week, but Denver is obviously a tough defense. Since he's opens up a little bit, but that's a divisional foe. Then he's got Pitt and Chargers on the road. Both have been pretty tough against pass games, and he's usually the outside wide receiver, so different than Zay. So I think the scheduling makes it a little difficult for Bateman to be viable moving forward in the next month. But then it opens up Philadelphia and then the Giants. So after the bye. So I think he'd be viable again, but I just think early.
I wouldn't worry. I personally, too, the Baltimore-Pittsburgh, to me, I still think fantasy players in that game, like, they have a hard time defensively. They usually do well against each other, like they still play good defensively, but their offenses end up scoring and doing okay. I feel like, because they're constantly battling, and they end up in the, high 20s, a lot of times 24, 28, those types of ending scores. So I'm okay with that game personally. The rest of the guys you mentioned, yes, I definitely would be concerned. But when it comes to Pittsburgh and Baltimore, that specific matchup is one that I always like to have my players in on, because they just seem to love to go at it with each other. And everybody brings their A game, including, both offenses.
Yes.
But yeah, that's definitely going to be a roster that'll be a lot of fun to watch you guys just, rip apart my limbs one by one until I'm left with nothing. Oh, man, it hurts. All right, so let's go into our last but definitely not least Braveheart League, which is our most expensive guillotine league out of the bunch. And this one is one that I have been eliminated in for a while. So I have not even looked at this league this year or this week to know anything about the scores in this league. So we are learning for the first time together. Before we go too crazy about the high score and the low score in that one, which it looks like will be our third team of the week, unfortunately, we will go into what happened last week as far as pickups. So we can see
my roster.
What's that?
You mean my roster?
Was this your roster, JoJo?
Yeah, this is my roster.
So this is going to be a really interesting moment here that you guys will see the full circle effect take place here in just a minute when we get done talking about this. And go
Lots
into
of cheeky, dude. Look at that. Getting Amon-Ra and CD. Look at that.
I mean, he went from most amount of money though to broke basically because that's 3/4 of his fob right there going towards those two players. So I mean, that's
good players.
If you save your fob and you wait till the right time, I mean, you could do something like this and walk away with 2 super studs.
Let's look at the bids though.
Oh, I'm sure that the rest of them were.
That's a good peg.
67.
Yeah, only $9 more. It's pretty solid there.
And then Amon-Ra's next closest bid was, if my computer will click on it,
yeah, same
67.
thing.
So yeah, he basically, if he wanted them, that's what he had to pay to get them.
That's awesome.
So good for him. Way to go, brother.
Good
so
job,
CD
TP.
and Amon-Ra went right to him. Then Tank Dell went for 17. He had 2 bids on this one. And the other one, he just didn't even bid any money. So all he had to do was bid $1 and he just snagged him. But, you know, I still don't think 17 is terrible.
2 bids for Tank Dell. What are we doing here, people?
Yeah. Huh?
Well, I mean, it could be.
$12.
He definitely didn't need to bid that much. But at the same time, with Diggs out now and then Nico obviously still out for another week or two, Tank should get a lot of targets. So it's,
2 more weeks.
Even if he overpaid, it's still going to pay. It could pay dividends here.
Yeah,
100%. Same with the next one, man. Laporta going for $12 is also a good price. I mean, I think Laporta's been overshadowed, but I don't think it's for any reason other than they haven't needed to utilize him as much. So I think that they still will have a role for him moving forward, and I think it will grow a little bit as teams start to defend against the stuff that has been working this season, and they start to stop that a little bit. Then they'll open up the Laporta playbook again and bring him in to add that wrinkle. So I definitely think that he's going to have a lot more going forward, and they already brought in one of their trick plays to get him going this week. So, I think that's going to continue.
He had a good week this week, finally getting 6 targets, caught them all. The first time he got over 5 targets in a game this year, which was shocking. But
right?
I think it's telling. Obviously, we'll have one more game because it's only a 2-game sample where Jameson's out for 2 games. But obviously, first game out. The targets that our baby could be designing or targeting for Jameson are more open for Laporta. And if he comes back after the 2-game suspension, if he comes back and goes back down under 5 targets a game, then we know obviously where the targets are getting consolidated.
Yep.
Confirming.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, no, I totally understand where you're at with that. And I definitely think that even Jameson coming back, I think that a lot of what Laporta is doing will still be a factor in these games. You know, he might lose maybe a target or 2, but obviously Khalif Raymond is going to be the biggest one that takes a hit when that happens. So, but go ahead, Zoops. Was that you talking or JoJo? I'm sorry. I thought one of you guys was about to talk there. Was that you, JoJo? I'm sorry.
It was me, but I don't want to run by the Detroit Lions resident fan here, man. I mean, don't you think that Laporta should be more of a red zone target? I mean,
way more.
When they get inside the 5, 95% of the time it's a run.
David Montgomery, yeah. It's
in the red area, man, 19-yard line, 18-yard line, whatever. I think Laporta should be targeted more, or at least looked at more. I don't even think he's getting that many looks, so it's a little concerning.
He's not. He's not. And I mean, and then you got to think about it this way. I think Jared Goff only threw 19 passes this last game, through the whole game. It was
the running game was working.
That 1-2 punch of Gibbs and David Montgomery is the offense. It's crazy. And then look what they're doing. They got all these trick plays. They got other people throwing touchdown. It's just. The Lions are just having their way with people this year. So yeah, it's It's interesting. I thought Laporta was going to be a lot more targeted and a lot more effective in this offense, and it's just been a year where they just haven't had to use him that much. So
Yeah.
they've got so many weapons that they can lean on. So yeah.
That sounds a lot like a rich person crying about the cost of a bill,
Hey, as a fan, I am not complaining. I will say that right now.
Oh, that's funny. All right, though. So no, I'm with you on that one, man. You guys both make some great points there. I definitely think Laporta needs to be more involved. So breezing through here, I want to move forward a little bit quick on these guys because we're running close to the time here due to the breakdown on our obvious cool fun doing right now. So the next guys that went off the board, we had Travis Kelce, $11, Jalen Waddle, $9, Rico Dowdle, $9, Devontae Smith for $8. Out of that group right there, guys, which name really pops out at you the most, man, and the price that they went?
Devontae. Yeah, 100%.
Are we all in agreement? It's Devontae. That's exactly where I was at. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that he was the lowest out of the group that we just talked about, and he was picked up for $8, and there was 3 bids on him, $7 and a no-dollar bid, which I'm assuming El Subiesto has probably just got no money left and thrown, dart throws every time he can. But that's definitely the steal of the 4 pack, in my opinion. The other 4 aren't bad prices either. They're just not nearly as good of a steal as Devontae is at that price.
Yep.
And Philly's an offense I want to buy into. I've been buying up a little bit of Devontae in a lot of leagues. Their passing game schedule over the next until the end of the season is one of the best. So buy Philly for sure.
Absolutely. The only next guy that I really want to mention, there's some good guys that went off the board. McMillan for $5, which I think was a good pickup. The rest of them, Raheem Mostert went for free. I think that's a good pickup. The way that Tua being back and they were utilizing him. And then the one really good pickup that I think that went for no money at all was Keon. The fact that he went for $0 is pretty good steal there for Isaiah. So good job on you, man.
Good job, Isaiah.
So the next, let's go into there's a little more pickups that went on. This is a good one here. Isaiah, another Ricky Pearsall for free. I think that's a good snag there. Those always hurt when you see those Chris Godwin drops, doesn't it?
I know.
And then another good steal here is snagging DeAndre Hopkins for free. That's another good pickup right there. Dontavion Wicks, I also do think is a snag to have on your bench in case there does happen to something happens to Reed or Dobbs or Wicks. I'm sorry, not Wicks. Reed, Dobbs, or Watson. Then Wicks automatically jumps into whatever role. So I think those are all some solid pickups right there. So let's roll in over to the team that gets eliminated, which does happen to have the lowest score out of all the guillotine leagues. We're not going to include the triathlon league because the rosters are different, guys. So the third team of the week is only going to stay relegated to the 3 standard guillotine leagues, which is bad news for our buddy Zoobs, because if I could have and I'd have known, I'd have mailed him the poop costume to wear on this episode because he is our third team of the week, baby.
Oh boy. Hey, just go and look at all the red on my team. It is brutal. The low amount of scoring.
Let me spray some Febreze, man. It is stinking up in here right now. Yeah, the third team of the week.
That would be another good bit, dude. Get some like Lysol spray as we do this turn team of the week. Spray it out for him. That would be so good.
Next week, move forward, guys. There will be a can of Febreze sitting here for me, so I can make sure the third team of the week doesn't stink up the episode. Oh man, we love teasing you, Zooms, man. It's a horrible thing to lose, but it's always the worst when you're the lowest scoring team. You gotta listen to me rag on you.
Nah, it's all good. And it was like what happened with you in the other one. It's just a lot of studs scoring low. The Jordan Love injury hurt me. Rico Dowdle going out right before the game, which was just crazy. And it was just, hey, that's fantasy, man. Some weeks it's good, some weeks it's just brutal.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely hurts, man. And it hurts a slight bit more in the league that's the $50 versus the $25 leagues, because that's the one that out of the three you're always like, oh, if I have to get eliminated, at least let's wait till the end for the 50. I want
Yeah.
that one to be a good one, and then that's the one that all of us seem to be moving on out of here pretty quick. So, this league is going to go to some lucky gentleman. It's just not going to be us. But so yeah, you're right though, man. Your roster isn't too bad. You got Jordan Love, Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook ended up having to be your sub in for that Rico Dowdle situation you talked about. Drake London, Devontae Adams, Tucker Kraft, Brian Robinson Jr., Khalil Shakir, and then on your bench this week you have Joe Burrow, Braylon Allen, Alexander Madison, who's been a sneaky good play lately. Rico Dowdle, Rashad Bateman, Jalen Tolbert, and Cole Kmet. So. I mean, again, it's kind of like that first team we talked about where I don't see a total ton of guys that, wouldn't be worth at least putting in a claim for. So with the exception of maybe one or two, I think there's going to be a dollar amount attached to almost your entire roster.
Yeah,
Anybody
I think
you see
maybe
stand out to you?
like you said, I think Madison. I think Madison's kind of a sneaky play. He has been pretty solid. He's just been kind of steady Eddie, and he's had a couple of burst out games too. So I mean, yeah, and I don't think he's going to go for a lot. So he might be a good one, unless it's somebody real RB needy and they just blast a whole bunch of their fob on it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that 100%. I definitely think that's the sneaky pick of this roster for sure. Being that this one doesn't have JoJo, you look at this roster, at least for me, I don't see the surefire gonna go for the highest amount out of all these players guy. So based on that, which guy would you anticipate does end up being the top dollar earner after this go round here?
It's going to be interesting. I think people are going to flock to Najee because he's got 3 straight weeks of over 100 yards. He's getting a lot of work. He's going to always continue getting a lot of work, especially as it gets colder. Due to RB scarcity, I think Najee's going to take the cake, but I wouldn't be surprised that Drake, just because of the name value, but he hasn't really backed it up too much. He was another top play in DFS and cash. I didn't go that route. I kind of faded that play. But it's going to be between those two. I do want to call out Braylon Allen real quick. Just again, I always like handcuffing top running backs that can consolidate touches. He will get all the Breece Hall work. I think he's also a sleeper that people should be targeting to your bench, and I think that's a big pickup there.
And yeah, he's like a sneaky little goal line guy. I mean, it's pretty consistent, almost weekly, where he's getting at least a goal line touch or two. So yeah, he's a good one.
I agree. Yeah, I think those are both good options for those sneaky good pickups on this roster. And definitely with you on both of those are the two guys that I would have pinpointed as well. I would have been having a hard time deciding which one I think would for sure be the higher dollar earner at the end of this week. But I think if gun to your head and you had to pick somebody, I think recency biased, which is definitely more relevant in a league that is a week-to-week league. I think Najee is probably going to earn a slight bit more, but it'll be really close. I think then there'll be a big gap between them and the next highest earner, which might be somebody like a Brian Robinson, or even a Jordan Love, and a quarterback sneaks into that conversation at that point. So, other than that, you're looking at a bunch of guys, about 5, 6, 7 guys that I think are all going to go within a $10 range or so. So it's going to be a competitive bidding cycle, just not like that super high-end top guy, but a competitive bidding cycle, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're going to have a lot of 20s and 30s kind of bids on all these guys, just across the board.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have a big chunk of guys that all go for within a $10 range.
Yep, I think so. Yep.
Awesome, man. So sorry, Zubsies, but you got to wear the label of the third team of the week. You better wear lots of cologne and deodorant until next week because somebody else will have to carry that label then.
I'm still in one. I'm still in the triathlon game, so I'm hanging on.
Hey, and the way I'm looking at it, because I'm the ever optimist. I mean, I'm sorry, pessimist. I'm the ever pessimist. That's just 2 more times to have to rock the turd costume. But hopefully that doesn't happen for a while, right? If at all.
Yeah, just give me to the end in one of them. That's all I'm asking.
There you go. Right, make the playoffs in one, man, and I'll be happy. Right.
There you go.
Awesome. So that's basic. That's the breakdown on our guillotine leagues for today, guys. I know we drug a little long. I like to try to keep us shorter than this, but we had a lot of good stuff to talk about to start this pod. And I want to make sure before we roll on out of here that I bring up again the fundraiser that we're doing. It's going to roll through till tomorrow's pod. We're going to do our raffle tomorrow on Tuesday's pod. So you guys get in on those bids, send in your bids if you want to get in on those raffles and get the right amount in for the tickets that you're looking to get in on, because there's some really good prizes in this raffle. So thank you, JoJo. Thank you, Zoobs, man. I appreciate you guys for being here today. You guys filling in for me last minute like this was really helpful for me. And, it's always good to have you guys on the show. So thanks again for doing that for me. And so once again, we will see you guys soon. Join us again tomorrow at 4 for our standard podcast. And we'll be again here next week talking about more eliminated teams from our guillotine leagues. So hope you guys had a good time with us today. And thank you so much. Have a good one, brothers.
Happy birthday, son.
See you guys.